The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody can hear me. Can I get a hands up that just to make sure we're online here? Fantastic. Thank you so much. Normally what I do get with this program is I usually get broadcasters about to start. For some reason, I didn't get anything like that at all. And I was just a little bit concerned then, so thanks for that. Okay, just get all the hands down from there. Right. Just a reminder, as usual, the terms and conditions of this webinar. Please hope everybody had a chance just to revisit the disclaimer. I am an author rep with Mortgage in General, and you can see their details on the screen, and I can only give general investment advice. So please remember that. Please don't take anything personal as personal advice. It is only general investment advice. Okay, we'll switch over now to the main screen and we'll start the usual part, and we'll just switch over one sec. Okay, I think we should all be on the main screen now. Okay, as usual, we'll start off with a Dow. We'll start off with the monthly, and look, as you can see with the Dow Jones, nothing's really changed. It's a monthly chart, so it's usually the same. So we can't really say much. We can say it's a rising wedge. We can see it by the dotted line at the bottom here, as we can go up the top, based with the top of the rising wedge. We can see it clearly has broken through. Okay, this is, unless for some reason by the end of this month it goes back above that dotted line, then it would be considered as broken through. And basically what that signals is it's the end of the upswing or the bull run, and we got sidewards to down. That's pretty much what it's going to signify. Now, I've got somebody that's got the hand up there. Nigel, can you just type in a comment if you want and ask me something? I noticed you got your hand up, so if you just type in a comment, we'll go from there, and I'll read the comment. Okay, now we'll go to the weekly, and what we see on the weekly, it's a truer representation of really what's happening when we look at the monthly. We can see it's actually broken below. On the weekly, the bottom of the rising wedge is clear, you can see, and the top now becomes its resistance. And what we can also tell by this is that it's really sideways. It was tight in two spots. First, it was tight at this level up here. It has broken below. We had a target of it. We can see it's not far from our target, but it is still on the side. Now, what we can say about this is, you know, a top. Even though this top is lower than this, it's within 5%, it's considered a top. Even though this top is lower than this, it's still within 5%. So this is multiple tops, which is really what we're saying is it's one heck of a brick wall. Excuse me, I don't know, got a bit of dust in my throat. So it really, again, signifies that the bull run of this phase is really over. It's nice to see it come off a bit, but right now it's not something that I would be looking at the long side. Now, for those that been following this would know I've been saying that for, I don't know how many weeks, you know, many weeks. And it's not something I would look at the Dow. I might look at individual stocks, but this thing sideways to down. Bull phase is over. I've been saying that for a while. Let's look at the daily. And again, looking at the daily, what we can see, this top line, and we can see the bottom line all the way to the bottom here. What that signifies basically, again, is a broadening formation. Now, we try to do a lot of lines in between. We can see that's as a top. We can try to put this at the bottom. We can take it further down here. And we can see that's broken below, and we can even do targets. But because it's such a sideward thing that it's very hard trying to get precise moves and so on. These are targets down. Again, we can go further to this level and telling us lower target weights there, and we can go to a lower level, to the bottom of it basically, and saying it really should go down to those levels, at least based on this pattern, which is an ascending triangle or failed ascending triangle. Okay, so what we're looking at is still lower to come, and we can see in this case now we can just continue on this line from there as we did last time. Is basically its support. Not saying it's not going to go lower, but that's where the current support is. Everything else, what we can see, is really quite messy. It really is. So the only thing I would say with this, if you're going to trade it, I would only look at more intraday type trading than actual daily and weekly, unless you look at a position, we get a bearish flag, let's say, and generally for those that are not aware, but most of you probably are, and I've said this dozens of times, markets always tend to go down faster than what they go up. Now, they might consolidate for a while and hold their ground, but as soon as that breaks down, they tend to go a lot faster than what they go up. Now, that's basically the Dow. What we'll do the S&P 500, which is .INX next. And again, we shouldn't expect much different to what we've already seen. As we can see, with the monthly chart, you can see a very long up move here, which is pretty much the phase from the 2009 down move. Now, again, this is a rising wedge. If we have a close look what rising wedges normally, once they actually make the move, what actually happens is, if you look just previously just to here, this is also a rising wedge, and you see what normally tends to follow. Now, the real trend for the data that I've got that goes back, as you can see, all the way down to here, pre-87, down here going all the way back. This is a main trend line, a huge trend line that continues on, nicks, and so forth. Now, I'm not saying it's going to come down to this level. I don't know. We trade what we see, not what we think. But what it's telling me here, the up move is really over. Okay, this is what, and you can see starting to break apart. If we just zoom in, just grab the magnifying glass, just overlook, we can see quickly that, look, get auto size to make it easier. We can see it's starting to break apart. Okay, so that's the big sideward move that we're getting, that we will see on the weekly, and we'll go to the daily. Just a quick restore. And looking at it the weekly now, look, here it is again. Your big up move, plenty of touches along the way, touch, touch, touch. Broken through, but it has not collapsed. What generally normally happens is it's not collapsing. Now, what we can understand, because of all the money they've printed and so forth, although they're sucking it back slowly and they even expect the interest rates to go up, maybe that's the trigger we need. We don't know. But as you can see, there's a huge consolidation phase here. Now, somebody asked me to, on this, they asked actually, was that a rounding top on the Dow? Now, the Dow, the S&P looks pretty much like the Dow. We can't class this as a rounding top. Now, if this continued to go like a roundish all the way down, we might be able to build a rounding top. But at this point, all this is a real sideward move. It's waiting for direction, nothing else. No one really knows exactly what will happen, but I can say this much. If it breaks below here, we can actually determine a target. Example, how you would determine the target is you go to the top, you go to the bottom, and you go to where you think it'll break out. I'm only going underneath this red candle, roughly, and to the point of support. And if it does break down, you'll seriously start looking at a good downturn. You're talking 19,500 from 20-odd thousand points. That was at 20,050 or something. So pretty much you'll have a decent sized downturn once it starts. But right now, I'll remove that. We have no such thing here. So that's 2,000, my apologies, 2,050 down to 1,900 and or so points there. I'm thinking of the Dow, not the S&P 500. So again, we go to the daily. We expect nothing more than what we really were seeing, pretty close to what we're looking at the Dow. You can see consolidation phase. That's the next lowest point if it breaks down. If we extend these lines, you know, like so, and the same as that one, like so. Again, it's just a little triangle. You can't class it as anything big. It's a daily. If it breaks down below, we can start saying it's multiple targets here, but the first point is from here to there to an estimated breaking point down to here, and we keep going backwards, like from the next point, okay, and going down to, oh sorry, let me just redo that one again, my apologies. The biggest target, I'll just do the biggest target. So the next target would be from here down to there, down to the break point again, and that would be back down to this line. So that's the biggest target you can get out of this little pattern. And of course, if it breaks out of this consolidation, it's from here. Again, it really is all the way down to the bottom of this, which won't be much different, of course, but it'll be all the way across like so. And then you're talking down to this. But of course, this will be the brick wall, okay? So I'll just remove those because we're not there yet. Oh, I didn't get the eraser. Okay, I'll leave that one there just in case it breaks on the down, but that's basically, that would be the first level of move. Okay, that was the S&P 500. Now, I'll look at the gold index next. We've got quite a few requests this week, so hopefully we'll have a good cross-section of everything. And thanks for that, Nigel, no worries. So equals. Okay, interesting. Now let's look at the monthly first. It actually did come below, but it's back in here in this resistance point. This on the monthly is still a huge mare's tail. Now, clearly the top doesn't apply here anymore. Only the bottom one does, because it's saying it's still part of a huge tail here. Okay, it's part of a very big broadening formation and down to a mare's tail on the monthly. It is still active. We go to the weekly, and what can we see here? The weekly was the weekly mare's tail tighter. It broke down. We had a potential new target here, new target, out of this if it broke on the downside. Now, clearly it didn't break on the downside, so we can't very well say that's where it is, okay? So as a mare's tail, it would have been from here to there to the break of the mare down here, and that would have been its target, okay, out of the mare's tail. We did an additional target if it broke below. It has not broken below, so we need to remove this target from here at the moment, okay, because it's also back above this. If it was below, we could still leave it longer and trying to get a different pattern target, but it's back above it, we can't. Now, the monthly mare's tail is still valid, right, but not the weekly. Okay, so the weekly target has been hit and it didn't break below, so we can't utilize anything else. Let's look at the daily. Now, as we can see, out of the mare's tail on the daily, we hit the target. It clearly went the other way, so let's look at what we can do here. First of all, as a target from this pattern, that's our target out of that pattern. So in other words, when you saw that breaking on the upside, that was your potential up move. Now, let's just remove that for now. What else we got? We have, from here, this is called a pennant. It has broken on the upside. So as a target for that, we're from down here to the highest, so get the target again, got the wrong one. From down here to the highest body, to its breakout point. At the moment, it's telling us we still have an upswing to go of a bit more, to around $1,153. And if we follow this line down, telling us it's not bad. So that's your brick wall, okay? So it means it might be just a touch below it. So anything around there, I would stop going long, basically. I would take, if you pick this and you're trading this and you're going on the long side, you need to put probably a trailing stop, and if it gets around here, I wouldn't wait for it to break through. Personally, I would probably take the money and walk away. That's just me. Everybody's different, but that would be just me. So that's gold. So next one, XJO, ASX 200 index. Monthly. Now, originally we thought maybe, can we make a flag here? And clearly, as we can see, we cannot. Okay, so these lines can be removed. We were clearly at the top. Now, this line is what we call a sandwich, for those that don't know. And a sandwich occurs, in fact, it's a parallel line of this. We just took it literally above. And a sandwich occurs, this gets sandwiched between this point and that point. And we can see this has been respected pretty much all the way up. And it got to the point that this has broken down. We did add this dotted line, an accelerated trend, and we can clearly see this trend has broken. It did kick off from this trend, and this line became its brick wall. That's why we put it there initially. If it will fail, we said if this rallies back up to go up, it must clear this point. The next brick wall would have been, like everything else, its previous highs. And if it continued on, that would have been its next brick wall, and its final brick wall would have been here. However, it did not get there, and we can remove that, and we can see this is breaking down. And what we say now is this line is its support line. So we expect it probably to hit around here and bottom out around there, and we'll see how we go from there if it breaks or does something else. Now that's monthly. Let's have a look at the weekly. As we can clearly see from this point of view, we had originally a flag here that hit this wall, which is part of your, that was the original dotted on the monthly, which is part of your rising wedge, and bounced back up. We thought, you know what, if this is a flag, we said that will be its target, and that was the best we can do. I couldn't see it much higher based on that, but there's your main brick wall if it continued. Now, that didn't work out, so that ended. This closed below at this point on that week, and therefore the following week should have been this particular rundown. All right, so that is invalid now. So we've got to just basically saying, this target really was not the valid, because that was done out of this flag potential to this point here. So that wasn't really the case. We couldn't really work it out from that perspective. Okay, what we can add in now is from the top. Okay, and what we can do is clone this line, and we can see why it stopped there, can't we? It's got pretty much touches here, here, so it had two decent touches, and sure enough, it slowed down there. So this potential right now, this might be actually trading in this like a channel. This is obviously not valid anymore in here. And what else? Is anything else valid? And that's about it. We really can't do much more than that on the weekly. Actually, just interestingly, just one more thing here. There's a touch there, and I just want to extend it. So what we call this is a cross intersection, 2 points together. So potentially this is not bad to consolidate for a bed here and possibly actually have a rally. Now, this is interesting. For it to have a rally, what makes up the XJO? Realistically, the banks, probably the heavyweights in here, they probably, I think, make about 60-70% of the XJO, some ridiculous amount. So it'd be interesting to see when we get to the banks, are they anywhere near bottom for getting ready for a rally? So it'd be interesting to watch. But I can't really see the XJO then. This would have to be its brick wall, because this is the bottom of the rising wedge, and clearly it's got 1, 2, 3, and then the break, as it bounced back above it, then the break. And now if it rallies back up, this would have to be, you got this as a brick wall and that as a brick wall to the upside. So any upside, I would only suggest getting a measurement from where it currently is to here, let's say, is, oh, I'm not getting measured on blank spaces. Sorry about that, I can't get a measurement. So it's basically between around 50, just about 5,300 to 55 something and a half. So around a 200, 250 point move in this range here. Let's have a look at the daily now. Okay, so we said we were looking at this last fortnight, and I said if it breaks up, that would be the target. Obviously, it did not break up, so that is useless. And we also said any resistance would be across here, also on the last webinar, light cross. So had to break through here and above that. On the downside, maybe we should have put downside targets also last week, but we were more confident of going up than down. That's one target. And the final target. And that's the final target off that pattern on the downside. So I'm reasonably confident to believe that I reckon a bounce is not far away, at least from that perspective. Let me just extend this line. It's one of the others we did on the weekly. You can see that's the consolidation. So between these 2 points, so I reckon there's a good chance around here it'll consolidate for a bit of a rally. Again, if it goes up, brick walls up here. So, but this is talking from around 52.50 on the weekly. I think was a bit was about 55, wasn't it? About here on the weekly. So there was something. Oh, that was because of this. This line's not valid anymore. So what we'll do is we'll just change it rather than remove it. So basically, this will be its brick wall going to this rally up here. That's what we've done on the weekly. Okay, so anything, this is telling me potentially we can have a rally, and at the same time on the weekly, we just quickly go back and look at the weekly. We had two brick walls. This is what we did. That was the line that we brought down. But if the thing is, this is also a rising wedge, and the retest, if it goes through here, will be just a bit here. So either way, there's brick walls coming up on it. Now, if it comes to this area, it's a double whammy. It's pretty strong because it's in 2 points. Okay, and that would be the XJO. Talking about indices, somebody asked for the financial index, which is the XFJ. Now, I have a number of things here. I've got the banks to do. I've been asked for Telstra, IAG, Woolworths, PPT. I've got MNS, GEM, the Aussie dollar, and Santos. So we've done those a while ago also, but it'd be nice to see how we catch up with them also. Now, let's start looking at the XFJ. Okay, now we originally hit the first target and we said, here's the brick wall, okay? This is the brick wall. Now, it's actually a clone of this, literally a clone. Now, this broke up and we said, yes, it can go as high here if it continued that way. In fact, it hit that target and all we had is the down. This line now is really invalid. This line here, we can probably just slightly touch it a little bit and like go to the bottom and say, you know, that's where it is. If this closes below this, then we can say this becomes, it's also a brick wall on the, if it decides to go on the upside. The top target now is invalid. That was the last target it hit. If we go to the weekly, what do we notice? What do we notice? Well, what do we got here? Potentially, yes, this is huge upswing, and if we just modify it a little bit, just to go to the, like so, we can see that this came to retest it and pretty close and failed it. Okay, now came up, fail. What else have we got? Well, what we have is from here to here. Technically, shoulder, head, shoulder. Okay, shoulder, head, shoulder. We also have here, and I'll clone this, is a bearish flag that's broken. So we've got a bearish flag that's going down to the downside. We have a head and shoulder that's already broken the neckline. So targeting this is from here as a head and shoulder, directly below and across to the break point, and it's telling us this is going to go down to around 5,300. Now, if we go through the flag, we go from the top here to its breaking point, and that's two targets, out of a head and shoulder and out of a bearish flag. So we've got two targets to the downside. Now, not saying the banks are not, this is the financials, so it's the banks we're talking about. Not saying you can't have a rally to the upside, but it's saying it's pretty hard for it. Now, if you really wanted to make it really tight, what you can do is take this line, oops, wrong one, that one, oh, wrong one again also, sorry. Oh, this one to the bottom of that, and take that one, you're going to make it more conservative, to the red of that. So in other words, these move up a little bit. Hey, that's more of a conservative. Maybe that's what we should have done. Let's do those again just to make it a little bit more conservative. Means it gives it a chance for this to rally up here. Okay. Again, out of the bearish flag first to there, and out of the head and shoulders there. So it's still saying down, it's just the magnitude of the down. That's all. So this is telling me lower prices to come. Now, next one, daily. Let's have a look at it. So look at this daily. If we're using it trying to get tighter targets, well, this is what we do. So target down out of this, from here to there's the first target. Second target is down to there. Now that's all that's going to give us, okay? The head and shoulders, to look at it off the daily, actually goes there. And we can take that lower and tighten that up that way, okay? So that means the rally on that is to here. That's pretty much it. Okay, so that's the XFJ. Now, moving on, since we started from the financial, let's go and start doing the financials now. Let's have a look at ANZ first. We can see from the ANZ, there was, remember in the past, the rising wedge? Again, this rising wedge, okay? As we can see from a rising wedge, it's telling us lower prices to come. So targeting from here to here first, to its break point, that's its target. The thing is, on the next breakdown point, it sounds horrible, but we're talking to there. However, this is the main trend line, so you should only trade to this. Okay, now I'm going to remove this target because we've got to get there first, and then we'll add the next target in, okay? So that's the next target down. Not saying you can't have a bit of a rally back up this way. You can. Looking at the weekly, what do we got? See, as a weekly, if you look at this line, and you look at that line, the shorter one, that's what you call a horn. That represents a top. If you look at this to the bottom big line, there's your rising wedge. If you look at this top, to this little bit here, not the best, but look, this is a weekly, and all you need is about 22 plus weeks or so for a head and shoulder. So if we go from the top of this all the way to the breaking point of this, well, we've got 67 weeks. So more than enough. Now, let's clean it up a little bit now. Wrong one. And of course, the red line was the supporting trend, the accelerated trend, and as that broke through, supported on the long-term trend, and then that became a brick wall. That's what I mean by intersections. When they intersect together, that's what I'm referring to, okay? They come pretty close to tops and intersecting points, okay? So that was, if I remove that for the moment, oh, wrong one. That was clever of me. I meant to remove this one. Show you. So because that's all in the intersection point, that's so close that it's basically, you know, tops occur like that. Now, that's broken on the downside. I can comfortably remove this one now because that's where the neckline is. What we can say is a target from there directly below to its breakout point is the target. If we draw this line continually as a horn line, is at the same point, okay? That's going basically up. There can be a horn at the same time, rising wedge at the same time, okay? Again, that's the neckline. And if this is a pennant, again, we'll get a similar target from there to the break point there, which is the same point. We'll get a double target. So as a short-term target on the downside, has it hit anything? From here to there to its breakout, we're there already. Now we'll probably find that on the daily anyway, so I'll just remove it for now. Here it is here, basically. Okay, so we didn't know which way it's going to break. We've already done that. All right, so we said, well, is it going to break on the upside? Is it going to break on the downside? We had no idea. So we did a target, which was just to refresh from here to here. We're going to estimate below that. And there's your second target. The smaller target was from here to there to, again, we were trying to estimate roughly where it is and so forth. So trying to get it right. Conservatively, you use either a wick and a body, or you use, a wick or a body, or a tail and a body. So in this target here that we did, we used that. I just went to extremes on this one. I'll just close that off. So you can see we've hit two targets out of this pattern, the short range and the long range. And I would expect the rally. Now, we were looking initially here that we might close this gap. I'm not saying you can't close the gap at the moment, but it ain't going to happen very shortly. That's a long way away. So I would not be surprised if there is some sort of rally coming. So, and in fact, if anything, I'll probably be looking at an opportunity to take out puts if I have to, or go short in some way. That's the way I would be treating this one. So this is telling me that we have a lower target for ANZ. However, we can get a temporary rally on the upside, and that's the way I would be personally looking to set myself for a further down, especially on the monthly. If it goes from here to click to there and then a break, it says below this line, so I would be trading it to this line. And that is ANZ. Now, would you be surprised if NAB and Westpac are fairly similar? Here we go again. Again, what do we got here? If we go from here, we still have an accelerated, like a rising wedge also on this one. A bit more messier, but primarily that's what we're looking at. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Maybe we can see it a bit better, clearer. How do I do this? Let me remove the target on top. It's already hit the target, so no, we don't need that anymore. It's done the top. Look at this. There's a bearish flag here, all right? And to target out of a bearish flag, if I use the wick, I can only go to the body. The lowest body's there. And look, that's its breakout. It's telling us down to $28. Again, I'm not saying it cannot rally on the upside. Okay, I'm not saying it cannot rally on the upside. So you might be able to retest it here. That's a possibility. But overall, we're still, according to the monthly, it's more down than up. Let's have a look at the weekly. So we had a bullish flag. That was a target for it. Didn't get there, it failed. Remember, anywhere near the previous tops is where it tends to fail, and yes, there it goes. So that can be removed now, it's useless. We can see this is in a huge horn, okay? The main trend is down here still, this is weekly. And we are, when we touch these points, this is like a neckline. We can say, you know what, this is still in this point of support. So I would not be surprised if it can rally from here. Like I said, I would not be surprised. Going to the daily. This is the formation. We hoped it would break on the upside, not the downside. We did the downside target on ANZ, but we didn't do it on NAB for some reason. But this is the gap that I was looking to close, and I am still looking for it to be closed, but it ain't going to be on this one. Now, what we have to consider here is what's happening down below. Now, again, I do not know if this is going to be a bearish flag. Okay, if it is a bearish flag, we're going to have a bigger move down. Or is it going to just consolidate now and get ready to rally back up here? So if it breaks down, we're going to have one heck of a move down, aren't we? I'll do the target down, but then I'm going to remove it. What a size. There it is there. Okay, but I'm going to remove that there because I don't know yet. Can this also be a head and shoulder? Now this has not broken down as a head and shoulder. If I was to draw the necklines, it would be from here across like so. Okay, that would be the neckline. So shoulder, head, and this part's the shoulder. And that's the head going in target down. If this breaks down, then you'll be looking at an additional target. Again, it's an estimate, but then you'll be looking around $25. So you really need to be extremely cautious here, okay? You really need to be cautious. I'm going to remove these targets because it has not broken down, and I don't want to give anyone the wrong idea. If it breaks down, okay? I would not be surprised to ever if this actually rallies back up here a little bit before it does anything. Because what we looked at the financial, remember the XFJ? You can go back and revisit the webinar. When I publish it, I'll publish it by tonight sometime. So you can see what we said on the XFJ. There's room for it to kick back up. Okay, so you need to be very, very careful. Don't know why this up here. Just clear some of this stuff up. Okay, so that's about right. Now, that's daily, and that was NABs. Let's look at Westpac. Would you be surprised if it's pretty similar? Now, I do believe, like I said, eventually we'll come and close some of those gaps, but I just don't know how long before. Again, look at this. Again, rising wedge, okay? Support here, potential head and shoulder, so shoulder, head, shoulder. We don't have this is monthly, we'll look at the weekly more details. We can see, is this a bearish flag also to a lower price? So these are signals that this market is overall sideways to down, if not down rather than sideways. We go to the weekly. Again, neckline. Okay. Or if you go this way, there's your horn, which is basically a top again. We saw the rising wedge on the monthly also. We hit a target, just touched it, and pretty much off. We didn't close the gap, unfortunately. This is I thought we will get a chance to close this gap, but it didn't happen. Now, can it happen? I don't know. Can this kick back up? Absolutely. It can come back up here. I think it's pretty hard for it, to be honest, to go from around $31 or so all the way up to, was a 36, $5 move. I think it's pretty hard. Not saying it's impossible, but it's pretty hard. Okay, so if that happens, you're going to say, well, how do I target down here? You're going from here down to the bottom to its breakout roughly point there. You can see it's there. I would only aim for profit there. Obviously, if it goes down here, you know, there's your horn at the bottom, so it's going to have a lot of struggle before it even gets to anything like that anyway. So that's the way I would be looking at it. I'll remove that target now because it has not occurred as yet. But you can see it. If you want to play back the webinar, you can see what I've done there, and you want to put it on your screen so you, with a note or something, by all means. So, like I said, not surprised if this kicks up a little bit. But overall, I'm seeing reversals. I've been saying that for a while. So I was hoping anyone that might get a second chance just to get up here to reset themselves. Has not occurred. Missed out, unfortunately. But that's what it is. On the daily, let's just clone what we have. Again, we can only assume this might be a flag. I don't know. I do not know yet. However, we can see on the daily also that we can probably go from here, and there it is there. That's its neckline if that occurs. Right? Shoulder, head, shoulder, neckline, bearish flag. So if it crushes on the downside, there's a lot of trading potential. If you're holding this stock, if it gets down to here and breaks it, I would be closing it as quick as I can. These targets are now obsolete. These gaps, I expect they will be filled one of these days, but it ain't going to be today or tomorrow. That's the way I'm seeing it. All right, now, when we look at this, if we extend this and go that way, on the weekly, we saw that was the potential bearish flag. This is the daily also. Okay, now just to confirm that on the weekly, was it a weekly? No, monthly, sorry, not weekly. We can see that was it there. Potentially a flag, and that'll be its targets down here, okay? So really got to watch. Westpac, so NAB and Westpac. Now CBA, what would you expect from CBA? I found it quite strange, actually, I have to say. I had a good chat with my programmer, Dean, nice guy, my partner, and basically he was quite interested in this, and I know he's watching the webinar at the moment. So this is what we discussed. Let's look at the monthly. Potentially this is a pennant, so a down target. It's already broken on the downside. This is a trend line. Now, even realistically, this is monthly. You can put it there. Potential, if it goes, it can go all the way down to here. $50 is a long way. But look at this. This is a huge channel. 1, 2, 3 touches. 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on top. So CBA is on a huge trend, okay, huge trend. Now, technically speaking, this bottom line here, we can also really, if we really wanted to, it'd be only 2 touches, of course, but it really doesn't matter. We can do that. And that also makes it a rising wedge, okay? And it has broken to the downside. Now, if this continues to go the way this is suggesting, and look, it's already broken down, unless before this month's over, this recovers fully and comes back up there, we don't know. But here we are. If we go down to roughly there, we're looking at a target, which is probably not far away anyway, at 74.92, just out of that. Now, that looks a bit messy, so we'll just clean that up. You can do that on your own charts. And it's telling us it's a reversal. Look, the whole thing's been going up and up and up, all right? Now, if you do something simple, this is where, from down here, it went all the way up to here, all right? And if we go from the bottom, and I can't really say, is this the total bottom? Let me have a look. This is when it started, so that might be not right. So let's start here. This is the lowest point. And if you go to measure the next lowest point, it's 71 weeks. If we go from here to where we currently are, it's actually 79 weeks. It's 8 weeks past that point from a low to low. So low to lows usually occur within 10 to 15% of each other. Now 10% is pretty much now, but 5% is probably another 3.5 months. All right, not a perfect. That's a nice little guide just to get an idea. Okay. So let's look at it on the weekly now. Does that look like a good head and shoulder to you, and has it broken? Yeah. Okay. This is the target off the head and shoulder to the downside. We had targets if this was a flag there, bullish, we said potentially could go to there. But this would have been its brick wall, this red line. Okay. Now, obviously, that has not occurred. And let's remove these things. And that is not a flag. It was just another consolidation point. And we could have basically, excuse me, sort of really not valid here, okay, because that only stops, because this was the actual trade. It went below it, went above it. We can extend it a little bit, but it wasn't very clear, okay. We can just leave it there for now. But what was clear from this point to that point forward, this is a good head and shoulder. And like I said, there's a target from there directly below. So there's little lines, red lines that appear there to here, across. That's its target on CBA. Now, someone that I know and my partner Dean knows is this guy Clive. He does different types of analysis, pretty good also. He uses pointing figure in a different way. He believes there's going to be a rally also based on his analysis. Now, I see it as a rally. Yeah, okay, I can accept the rally and possibly to this neckline. Now, if we do get a rally to this neckline, if I had this stock, not personal advice, and I cannot stress that enough, not personal advice, I would take my money and run, and I would be looking for a way, how can I take advantage of a short? Because I would expect the next move down to come down to these levels. Now, I was hoping, if we look at the daily chart, what I was hoping might happen is close this gap, all right, around, what is it, a bit lower than $90. I was looking to close this gap here, okay? That's the gap. It came and closed this one and came, what, a couple of bucks short of it. Very frustrating, very frustrating. If I was to add, excuse me, I hate coughing when I'm talking on the mic. You know, as a trade, if I was just trading it on a daily, and I would probably convert this to a 180 minutes, and it'll be twice as big. Basically, look, first target would have been from here to break point. It came and retested it. Next target was to here, breaking point, and there's your target to the downside. So I'm comfortable that, yeah, it met those targets off that pattern. Does this look like on the weekly? Just trying to remember, actually, what was it? No, it's pretty messy there on the weekly. There's a lot of bars. But on the monthly, it does certainly make it look like a pennant or a flag. Yeah. And that gives you that lower target also. So, look, it's close to the bottom here at this point. And I'm comfortable to say that, you know, yeah, you can probably go a bit lower, test this lower, and I would not be surprised if it does have a rally. But if it has, I would be setting myself to make sure if I'm in this damn thing on the long side to get the hell out of there, or at least protect my position by puts or something like that. Okay. And that's pretty much the financials. Excuse me. Next one is IAG, which is actually still part of the financial, although it's insurance, if I remember correctly. Now, I haven't looked at this for yonks. Somebody just asked for that. Now, this is monthly. And again, what are we looking at here? Okay, we had a beautiful, strong move on the upside. If we go look at the downside, like so, what we normally see is, again, a falling wedge, which is a reversal. Okay, have we hit a top? First target from here. Breakpoint. Next target. Unfortunately, we have to go to around here. And we never got there. That's the unfortunate thing about it. We never got there. So, but what have we got here? Let's have a look. Look, the truth is, I don't know if this line's going to belong here or it's going to belong here. That's the truth, where it is. I think it's about there because it's pretty close to these 2 points. Now, what is this formation starting to occur? Okay, I can say, if I take it from here, this is basically a horn, which is a top. Is it starting to make maybe a bearish flag or a pennant for a further downside? Is it this is what monthly, or is this a head and shoulders top? There's a shoulder, head, and the next shoulder forming. So maybe this is not fully ready to go down yet, but you have to be seriously watching this. Let's have a look at the weekly now. Again, as a weekly, what I'd be saying is from here, again, no different to what I said, because this tail that we looked at on the monthly, you can see this is a green candle. It closed up high, so we can technically put it there, which is correct on the low, okay, right there. What else have we got? As we said on the monthly, this is still a horn. It also is a double top, in fact a triple top, 1, 2, 3 touches, which is a top. And how much data have we got here just to make sure? To where it broke out from. Come on. 35 bars, 35 weeks, more than enough, okay? So this is a major top at that point. This is now testing this, and if it breaks on the downside, now I'm going to look at it, what it really got. Look, it really potentially was trying to do a flag here. It's probably trying to do a flag here, but if you're treating this as a flag or a pennant, be please very careful, okay? Because this is a major brick wall. I would personally want to see it above here before I'm saying I'd be happy to see it as a pennant. Now, because the target you can get out of this is up there. But this is a huge brick wall here. Because what's happened is it's got 3 pushes. It then tried to go higher, failed, and then this has been hitting this brick wall. So I wouldn't recommend to trade this to this level or try unless it goes above this brick wall and clearly even closes above there. So in saying that, what we're really also saying is this can consolidate and come back down here, and we'll have a shoulder, head, shoulder with a triple top. Now, for those that cannot remember, how do you work out targets of double or triple tops? All we do is from here to the bottom of the support area to its breakout point, and that's its target, and you can see it clearly hit its target, also confirming a top. So the thing we have to watch now, if this is a head and shoulders, we go literally from the top directly to the bottom of the neckline to where and I can only go below this candle at directly where this is now as an estimate. You can see this has then got a target of around $4.38. Again, I think if I was holding this stock, not personal advice, if this fails to go above and starts to move down, I'd just close it out and I would wait for an opportunity to really give me direction. And odds are, if this market then continues to go down because the US market goes down and we tend to follow, we're not leaders, we're followers when it comes to the share market, and where we see where the Dow is and the S&P at such high levels, consolidating, if they break down to the downside, these are our targets, okay? These are our targets. And we'll get to it, there's like your WPL and your Santos. Remember, we did those targets, some of them back in the beginning of the year. They're still there, so we'll have a look at them, what they're saying in regards to oil, what we said back then. The next one I will do now is TLS, and I'll pick up the pace a little bit. Oops, up the top there, typing without clicking on the top. Now monthly, what we saw, Telstra, I said, if this is a flag and continues to go up, that would be the target. We can see it's come back down. Really cannot see it as a flag anymore. So let's remove that because it's not. You can't even say that is anymore. Yes, you can put this line there, you can leave the rest there, but that's about it. But you might decide, you know, if it breaks on the downside, that might be it there also. But that's it. There really is nothing else there. It's in a channel, a very tight channel, and if it breaks to the downside, I'll do the target, but I'll remove it. It's from here to here's the last touch to an estimated break. That would be its first target. To here is the second target. If it breaks to the downside, that would be the second target. Okay, I'll remove those now because it has not broken. I don't want to leave them there unless it breaks. On the weekly, we did a target off this pattern here. That was it. It's met it. Finished. Let's click done. It came back down and broke below. This is what we call a broadening formation. And it actually has broken below the broadening formation. And let me just draw this first. It's now really like that. This line that we put there, that was the tops of these, and now that becomes its little brick wall. But as soon as it breaks below and stays below, then we remove this line. Now, broadening formations, targeting is from here. So if this now fills that, you'll be looking at that move down there as the first target. I won't go any further on this. You can get a secondary target, but we won't go to the secondary till we actually make sure this goes below there, then we can start looking at different price lines. On the daily, we had potential up target to that, and again, like anything else, it failed around the tops. So, in fact, it actually tried to close this gap, and unfortunately has not succeeded yet. But the threat that we have now, we're going to remove that, but the threat that we have is this, a bearish flag. I didn't do it very well, I'm sorry, I'll have to do that one again. Oh, get it away. As we can see, if this looks like it's actually breaking down, it looks like it has broken down. If this trend continues, starts tomorrow lower, I'll be trying to get on the right as quick as I can on TLS, because the target then is there. That's daily. That's it. Let's see how this goes tomorrow. Excuse me. The only thing I was worrying about this one actually, is it there or is it just a bit below it? Let me just have a look. Where are you? Is it there or just a bit below it? Does it make any difference? No, a bit higher. No, it still broke below it. That's fine. It's below it. That's TLS, so potentially down target. It's already broken below. Looks like it wants to go down lower. BHP. As you can see on BHP, we've got down targets. They've been sitting here for quite a while. Again, double top. If this breaks below that, you really got a double top that actually broke down below it. I don't know what this line's doing there. Must have got crossed somehow. I'll just remove it. Initially, don't know, something's changed in my settings here. I don't know why. It's a bit from here. And about there. Okay. Now, double top. In fact, there's top, major double tops. Has not broken down fully to the downside as a double top. Looking at a mare's tail, and we've got, these are the targets. If this mare's tail comes through, this is major support here, as we said before. But if it comes through here, these are the targets we're looking down to BHP. I still stand by those, breaks down, potential shorts. Go to the weekly. These are the weekly targets that we had from this pattern, which is symmetrical. And you can see we've got targets down, in this case, down to 2168 or so, and below. Also got a flag that gives us a target down. So I can't argue. I'm sticking to those targets as I put on there a long time ago. And on the daily charts, again, out of that pattern, we got these targets, and these targets still stand because out of this pattern here. I can't really say more than that. I'm still standing by the targets, and it looks like it's making a mare's tail. And this might have an accelerated fall at this point. There's nothing there to say that it can't do it. It has. You can probably add that in there. If it kicks, that's its brick wall again. But that's about it. Next one is WOW. Let's cross those off. Telstra and BHP. WOW now. Okay. Now, when was the last time we did this one here? Well, that was our target out of the $25 was out of that pattern. And now we said there's potentially another one for a lower target. So this is monthly. So if we go, now that's got a very, very big wick. Okay, now you can technically take it from there, but they're so big I would take it from here, more conservative, and then I can reassess. The next target's down to 2170, 2245 on the monthly. Go to the weekly. And it can't really give us any more on the weekly, can it? It's in the channel saying lower to go, but I think it's going to be very, very sluggish looking at this. Very slow. There's no free fall stuff here. I can't add anything more to this. Daily. Look, it's still valid. Come down, retest. I would say I would be concerned this level because this was the last bottom that we had. However, if you're already on the short side, good luck. I would be targeting there. It's only a bit below it on the daily, but you will gonna hit this brick wall. If you should have done it earlier, basically, it really should have been done earlier. Yeah, should have been done earlier. Nothing much on the WOW. It's not the best one to trade, I have to say. Now, PPT. Haven't done that before, I don't think. No, I didn't. Now, monthly. What can monthly tell us? Virtual trustees. I'm sure this one's had some consolidations and splits and so forth, because I remember this was over $100 one stage. I thought it was anyway. That's basically a falling wedge, which is a reversal once it breaks above this. And let's see if we hit any major targets first. Okay, so that's a target. It's pretty close to tops, isn't it? I would say rising wedge on the monthly. Down target from here to there to there. I reckon target around $37, $39 at the moment. You can get a second target from there to there to there, around 33. And mind you, the main trend line is just below 31, so we'll see. So monthly, saying more down. Weekly, let's have a look. Just reinforcing what I did on the monthly, I think. It has already broken, and that's what we did before. I think it just reinforces what we have already done. That's the bigger target to there. Okay, there's nothing more we can do on the weekly, that's for sure. I mean, what it does have is, you know, if you're talking about this, it's broken below here, the next level is here. So obviously it will be consolidation before it does anything else. So this is so close to it, I'd wait for another pattern or let it go through there before it goes for the next level. Try to be more conservative a little bit. That's about it, really. There's nothing on that one anymore. On the daily, it's not giving much away, I must say, this one. As a pattern, what it did have is this. Symmetrical. And the biggest target down we can get is from the top to the bottom, but it's already surpassed it, I'm assuming. Yeah. So that was the big down I could have got off the daily. That's easy to say that in hindsight, of course. But again, the only support I see at the moment is down the bottom here. That's all I can see at the moment. I can't see anything else. I mean, if this consolidates and goes back up, then you might have a huge head and shoulder. But this is a reversal, all right? That's a rising wedge. It's clearly a reversal. There it is there. Bottom wedge, up wedge. Now, the oil companies. Let's have a look. STO. Remember our targets? We still got more to go. We still got more to go. We did that. We did all these targets while it was still up here somewhere, if I remember correctly. So we've been following it all these months down. And also, just by looking at, you know, let's just have a look at it anyway. It's a huge pattern. That's why we had all these targets, and you can see it's a bit more to go. It's inside this target now. And I think, remember, I might actually visit oil later, but I can only really do a weekly and a monthly. And even they are not the best because my daily data, unfortunately, is just the last sale. That's all I have. Even though it's live during the day or it's 20 minutes delayed, dynamically updating, I don't get a first, high, low, last by the end of the day. All I get is the last sale, unfortunately. And that has got a sizable error when you look at it from that perspective. So anyway, the monthlies, based on the patterns you can see, that's what it's telling us. If we look at a trend line from the bottom, you know, all the way, you can see the trend line had broken. If we clone this, does it give us anything as a channel? I'm not sure. No, not really. You know, I've only got one touch no matter what I do, so that part can be useless. We hit the target, really consolidation. That's what I'm expecting to be around here, consolidation. If we go to the weekly, these are the targets on the weekly. We surpassed them now. What we can say, I can, I'll just remove some of them. Just remove that. Oh yes, we said what we said last time. Hold it. I said, can this be a reversal? I said, a very, very dirty head and shoulders or a double bottom if we took these lines across. And as we can see, that wasn't the case. We couldn't get a head and shoulder or a double bottom. My apologies. So that's gone altogether. And what we can probably say now, you had a consolidation phase, which is probably there. And we can get a target off that. I wish we saw it when it actually broke below. and say, well, there's the next target, right? Which actually we're in there now, all right? So this would have been good if there was a reversal to the upside. Might have been some good trades on the downside after that to the downside. But however, we have hit that now, and we've got to start looking where it's going to bottom out. What's on the daily? Consolidation. Well, it really would be from top, what we just did. That would be the target just there, around $5 something. They're not important anymore. Yep, so we're looking around this level here. So there's a bit more down to come. Actually, should see if there's any lower targets on from a bigger time frame. No, actually, the bigger time frame's telling us we've got potentially down to $4.98. That's all right. So there is potentially more to go down. That's Santos. WPL. WPL. Oh, gee, that's looking really good, isn't it? I wish I was watching it now. Oh, damn. Again, huge consolidation here. Big wall. We did say if it breaks below that, that was our target, which still stands. However, I would really watch it as it gets here because look, touch. Really a lot of touches here. It was a huge channel. Came out of the channel and it's on the way down. So the brick wall is really at 29.65. If it breaks that, you're looking at then down to the $25 mark, low 25s to mid 26s in that area there. And we can get even more targets after that. But let's just break that because once it breaks through here, we can get a lower target. Looking at it a weekly, we can see it was making a mez tail and a bearish flag. And out of that, there's our target, by the way. So we've got more to come down out of that. So all that still stands. We had the mez tail on the daily coming here. It actually broke on the upside. And just move this line here. Where is it? Right here. And that's its consolidation phase. And we can target out of that as it broke below to its breaking point. And there's its target. So everything's confirming to your weekly and your monthly moves. Okay. Okay. That's Woodside Petroleum. Now, next one. MNS. MNS. Oh, better click inside the box first. MNS. And doing with time okay. Oh, that's really nice, isn't it? It met all the damn targets. How wonderful. Whoever asked me for that, I think we did it a while ago, put all these targets up. So your targets are really met, haven't they? Look, I think this is going to be a major brick wall. That's where you're heading. Looking at this, you know, the monthly doesn't give me much more than that, unfortunately. If it was clean, I could turn it. That's my dilemma. I'll draw it in, but you'll see what I'm saying. What do you got here? There, sorry. From here, I would normally, if this wicks went there, you know, if these wicks with those lines, that's the only thing that spoils it, okay? If those wicks went there, this is what I would be doing. From here to that point, to its breakout point, boom, that's its target. The only thing I feel uncomfortable with this is a bull hook, okay? It's these wicks that spoil it. Now, the good thing about it, it still follows the curve. Not the best, but it's not bad. And that's my target. So I suspect that's where we're heading. The highest target out of this pattern is this. Okay, that's the highest target, is that there. Now, we're not quite there yet, but we're pretty close at 67. But after that, if it looks still pretty strong, I reckon you're looking at the 77 to 89. Looking at the daily chart, I know I didn't look at the weekly in full. I'll have a look at it in a bit more detail for you. This, again, is not the cleanest because of this tail, unfortunately, but it's still acceptable, don't get me wrong. Okay, still acceptable. It'd be nice if there's maybe a few more bars in here, it'd be even better, just to reaffirm things. Then it's actually, technically you're supposed to go down to this area here, but I would go to the body. Oh, what did I do there? Let's do that one again. Oh, maybe that's all right after all. That sort of meets your weekly one also. So, and the biggest target you can get out of this whole pattern is from here to there, which is your 67 cents. Okay, so your daily confirms your weekly and your monthly, and they're looking pretty good. I would probably try to watch it. If it breaks below that and stays below, I'd be a bit worried. But if it holds and breaks below, I reckon this is where it's heading. These are the potentials on it. Okay, that's that. Next one. That was MNS, yes. Next one is S32. Now, looking at this, shivers, I really can't do nothing with the monthly or the weekly. There's just not enough data, but let me have a look at the daily. Even the dailies, you can see it's not a lot of data. But what I can do is just say, well, you know, we can see this is consolidation, okay? We can clearly see that's consolidation. And all we can do is from here to there is there. And that is the only target, what I can see, is I can get from here. That's the only target I can get. And it's already gone a bit below it. So I apologize, I can't do any more with this stock. And I've got, next one is GEM. Well, we hit our target, I can see it here. Again, rising wedge, reversal pattern. Probably draw the lines on the weekly to look at that one. Potentially that was a bearish flag. Let's have a look. And a target down from here to the lowest body, to its break point. It's actually the same spot. So I remove one target, and that will do, doesn't matter. So basically same spot, nothing more I can do out of this on the monthly. In the weekly, I can see this is in a channel, and I can't really add to it. There's nothing really I can really, there's no flag, there's no pennant, there's, you know, it's inside the middle of the channel of all things. It's not at the bottom of the channel. We can maybe expect a bounce or a break. So there's nothing that I can do there. We go to the daily. See, I would have thought initially this might have been a potential trade, which is, you know, would have been a bearish pennant, but it broke and usually failed right where, you know, near the previous top, and will quickly reverse to the upside, which made it pretty useless to even consider. What we can really only say about this instrument is that it's certainly following the lines, bouncing off the lines that we got here continuously. That's near the top. If this fails, now we'll extend this a little bit more. Okay, if this fails and comes back down, we expect it to follow this, which will go lower. That's the only thing it's saying. Every time it hits the top, it goes lower. Although it's starting to narrow and tighten up, and possibly there might be consolidation to the sidewards, or is there news expected or something. But one thing we've noticed from the top, every time it comes down, goes back up, it goes lower than before, lower than before. And I would suspect it should go equal to, if not lower than before. If it goes equal to, starts to go the other way, it might go sideways for a while. But there is nothing else I can take out of this. And I'll now do the Australian dollar. UD equals. And again, with the Aussie dollar, we can see the monthly. Now, although it is actually a bit below the monthly, this is really holding quite well. It's in this area. I said in the last webinar that, look, I use some other tools that I'm still working on from the past. And what I can see that there's major cycles that are pretty much in this range here that are bottoming out, major cycles. And what I would say is originally I had the major cycle between 72.5 to 71.5 cents. Now, it hit there. Look, I have seen it in the past. It can overshoot down to 70.5, another cent. I've seen it probably in a period of 7 years do it 3 times, like a bit lower than its target. But then it is, in a matter of a week or two, recovers back above it. So I can see it actually broke below, but I can confidently say we are at a cycle, and I think this bearish flag that we're looking at a monthly, it's not going to eventuate lower. I believe, again, the dollar's actually bottomed out. Okay, that's my belief, that the Aussie dollar against the US dollar has bottomed out. I would be surprised if it does anything. Again, we trade what we see, not what we think. But what I'm saying is because of the cycles that I use, that it's telling me, in fact, got my programmer my partner Dean, to make this program that I'm testing, and I'm trying to find methods around how to better do it and then make it available. Now, I'm nowhere near it. I'm still working on it, but I'm trying to get it something in a presentable form. All there is numbers at the moment. So hopefully down the track, as we better improve things, we can get better things to come. However, in saying that, let's look at the weekly. You can see there's a consolidation phase here. You can see the target of this flag is hit. Now, not all flags eventuate to something. Okay, so that's why I believe this is consolidation. We can see the clone of this line here to the bottom. We touch here, we touch, touch. It's all in this area here. Everything's telling me there should be consolidation here. Okay, and if anything, I would suspect there should be even a rally. All right, so let's go now to the daily. Again, you can see everything was closing. Remember what we said, if things start to close, as they go lower, lower, eventually everything's closing, less, higher. And this has gone to the upside on the daily. Okay. Yes, it's here and it's getting pretty messy. We don't know what it's doing yet. And that's true. We don't. We can only suspect what it might do. So, again, we trade what we see, not what we think. That was the low. Can it go lower? Yes, it can. Again, I just point out that the cycles are telling me we have bottomed out. We have bottomed out. It's like when we looked at, the Aussie dollar on the upside, and I said at $1.10, that's the top. That was cycles, everything that I was doing. That was the top, and I even put it in the newsletter, as a lot of you would know, and published it and so forth. And again, I'm saying I've got the same cycles that are telling me we are at the bottom. So I can't, you can see this looks pretty messy. There's nothing really anyone can do right now. You got to let it play out, let it consolidate, let it make its decision, and out of a consolidation, there is breakouts, okay? Literally breakouts. So as it breaks out or breaks down, if I'm wrong, we can then work out targets and start to trade them. Right now, unless you're looking at intraday data, I wouldn't be concerned about the Aussie dollar. Let it consolidate, let it give us direction, and go from there. Because we can see from here, look, even on that one there, that line here, and we put underneath, look, you'd think there was a flag, broke up, but yeah, failed around the same highs. This is where we are. What we want to see, this is consolidated. What we want to see as this line goes down, gets messy, and everything ends up above that line. Because once it ends up above the line, then we can start saying, you know what, that downtrend is over, it's consolidating sideways. Let's see what consolidation it's going to make. And as an example, we would be drawing lines like so, lines at probably the top like so, let it consolidate, and like we were doing there, but end up breaking on the downside, get a target, and then we can trade at the up or the down. We don't care which way, but right now it needs to give us direction. So the only way to trade this range is between 72.26 to 74.3, which is a lot of trading in pippage if you're doing on an intraday, but that has to be done on an intraday basis. Now, I'm going to leave it at that unless somebody has any other questions, because we're down to, since we started, we put the disclaimer up, it's been an hour and 36 minutes. So if no one has any questions, I'll call it quits at that point. Someone said PPTX dividend. Sorry, just one second. When is X dividend? Is it gone X already, or PP? I only just saw it now, so somebody would have gave it to me earlier. My apologies. So when is where's the dividend? X. Where's my corporate actions? Am I blind? How about on this one? Am I blind there? So it must be trading as come dividend then, so it's going to go X, I'm assuming. So when does it go X? Where do you go here? So 15th of September. So we're looking at September basically. It'll go X dividend. Well, if it goes X and breaks through that, we're going to be looking around the 36 to $36 to $35 basically, potentially. So, okay. Unless someone's got any questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, I will say thank you once again. I hope it's been beneficial for everybody and take something out of it. Just remember, if you want me to analyze anything, I'll do it again Thursday fortnight, today fortnight. Just tell me what you want and I'll go through it as I usually do every couple of weeks. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Wish you the very best. Hope to have a safe excuse me, and a prosperous trading experience. Thank you again and good evening.